A very good evening, friends. I welcome you all to the daily newspaper analysis brought to you by the Shankar IAS Academy. Today's date is 1st July 2024. Here are the list of articles which we are going to discuss today. Get started. In this section, we are going to solve the two MCQs which appeared as a quiz in the yesterday video. Let's start solving. See the first question. With reference to the provisions of bail in India, consider the following statements. Let's see the first statement. Regular bail can be granted to a person who has been arrested or in police custody under section 437 and 439 of the CRPC. See, this statement is correct. Let's see the second statement. Interim bail is a long-term bail granted after a regular or anticipatory bail hearing. See, from our commonsensical logic, we can negate this statement because it's saying that interim bail is a long-term bail. We know that interim is a short-term arrangement. So, negating this one statement will land us in the answer. So the correct option is option B. Let's see the second MCQ. Consider the following statements. The Montague-Chelmsford reforms of 1919 recommended granting voting rights to all women above the age of 21. See, we know that this statement is wrong because it granted voting rights to some sections of women who got educated and are having property. So, universal voting to women was not granted by Montague-Chelmsford reform of 1919. See the second statement. The Government of India Act 1935 gave women reserved seats in the legislature. See, this statement is correct. So the correct option is option B. With this, let us see the news articles of the day. Look at this Sunday's Hindu article. The National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights, NCPCR, will award 30 districts for successfully reducing the drug abuses among the school-going children. These awards will be given by Union Minister Nityanand Rai. At the event, a new portal called Prahari will be launched to raise awareness about the drug issues and abuse in the school-going children. See, the awards and the new portal are a part of joint action plan by NCPCR and Narcotics Control Bureau to prevent drug abuse and trafficking. See, this is the crux of the article. In this backdrop, let's discuss about NCPCR in a brief. See, the National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights is a governmental body created in 2007. It was created by the Commission for the Protection of Child Rights Act, CPCR Act 2005. So we can say that it's a statutory body. Also note that it's managed by the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Note an important point that NCPCR defines a child as a person aged between 0 to 18 years of age. With this intro, let us see the composition of the body. See, the NCPCR consists of chairperson and 6 members, of which at least 2 should be women. All members are appointed by the central government for a term of 3 years. The maximum age for serving in the commission is 65 years for the chairperson and 60 years for other members. Now, what are the major functions of this commission? See, the primary mandate of NCPCR is to ensure that all laws, policies, programs, and administrative mechanisms are in line with the perspective of child rights as outlined in the Constitution of India and UN Convention on Rights of the Children. Secondly, the Commission has the authority to inquire into the complaints about violation of Right to Education Act 2009. See, this includes summoning the individuals, requesting evidence, seeking a magisterial inquiry, filing writ petitions in the High Court or Supreme Court, approaching the government for the prosecution of the offenders, recommending interim relief for those affected. See, this is already in the discussion. In this discussion, we saw about the structure and functions of an important social body called NCPCR from the preliminary perspective. With these learned points, let us see the next news article of the day. Look at this Sunday article from the Hindu. The Financial Services Institution Bureau, FSIB, has recommended Chella Srinivasulu Setty to be the 27th chairman of the State Bank of India. He is currently the senior most managing director in charge of global markets and technology at SBI. See, he will succeed Dinesh Kumar Kara, whose term ends in August. See, this is the crux of the article. With this backdrop, let us learn in detail about Financial Services Institutions Bureau from the preliminary perspective. See, FSIB or Financial Services Institutions Bureau is a governmental body set up under the Department of Financial Services, Ministry of Finance. It was created to select and appoint senior officials in the government-owned financial institutions. Note that FSIB has replaced the Banks Board Bureau. We should note that the BBB or Banks Board Bureau was formed to oversee the governance reforms in the public sector banks as recommended by the P.J. Nayak Committee. On continuing our discussion, let's talk about the structure of the body. See, the FSIB is chaired by a person who is nominated by the central government. The board members includes the secretaries of the Department of Financial Services, the chairman of the IRDAI, and a Deputy Governor of the Reserve Bank of India. Additionally, the board is composed of 3 part-time banking experts and 3 part-time insurance experts. Together, they oversee the selection and appointment of the senior officials in the governmental-owned financial institutions, thus ensuring that the best talent is chosen for these crucial roles. Now let us see the functions of the board. See, the FSIB has several important functions to ensure the effective management of the governmental-owned financial institutions. It recommends candidates for the top positions like whole-time directors, non-executive chairpersons of the public sector banks, financial institutions, and public sector insurers. Additionally, it advises the government on appointments, transfers, term extensions, and the termination of the senior directors. Moreover, it issues guidelines for selecting the general managers and directors in the public sector general insurance companies, with its recommendations being finalized by the appointment committee of the cabinet headed by Prime Minister. See, it advises the best management structures for the FSIB, FIs and PSIs, suggesting a suitable performance evaluation system and maintains a database of performance related data. See, it also helps form and enforce a code of conduct and ethics for the top officials, recommending training and development programs, and assists in the developing business strategies and capital raising plans. Finally, it handles any other tasks which are being assigned by the government in consultation with the relevant regulators, ensuring that these institutions are managed effectively and ethically. See, this is all regarding the discussion. In this discussion, we saw about the structures and functions of an important financial institution called Financial Services Institution Bureau. With these basics, let us move on to see the next news article of the day. Look at this front page article from Hindu. From Monday, 3 new criminal laws will replace older ones in India. They are Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, which will replace the CRPC Code of Criminal Procedure. The Bharatiya Sanhita will replace the Indian Penal Code, and Bharatiya Shankar, which will replace the Indian Evidence Act. See, states can amend this act if needed. The Bharatiya Sanhita may soon include a section on sexual crimes against men and transgender persons. Until then, the police are advised to use the related sections like wrongful confinement, personal health, physical hurt for such complaints. The old laws will still apply to the cases that occurred before July 1 and which are pending in the court. See, this is the crux of the article. In this backdrop, let us understand about Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, BNSS, from the preliminary perspective. So what is Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita? See, it's an act to consolidate and amend the laws related to criminal procedure. It was enacted in 2023. See, it's a major update to the India's legal system, replacing the old Criminal Procedure Code CRPC of 1973. Okay, now what does BNSS aim to achieve? See, BNSS aims to make the legal process smoother and more transparent by introducing reforms across 531 sections. It sets clear deadlines for the different stages of investigations and trials to ensure that the cases move swiftly through the legal sections. For instance, FIR, First Information Report, submitted electronically must be recorded within 3 days, starting criminal cases promptly. Moreover, BNSS emphasized the timely medical examination reports for rape victims, ensuring that the crucial evidence is collected within 7 days. It also records regular updates to victims and informants about the investigation process within 90 days, promoting the transparency. See, in court proceedings, the competent magistrates are required to frame charges within 60 days from the first hearing, and trial can begin in absentia for the proclaimed offenders after 90 days, even speeding up the legal proceedings. To enhance transparency, it mandates audio-video recording of search and operations and requires the criminal courts to pronounce judgment within 45 days after the trial getting concluded. See, the judgments must be uploaded online within 7 days for easy access to the parties who got involved in the cases. Additionally, it allows the courts to attach the property which are believed to be the proceeds of the crime, distributing it among the victims to deter crime and providing financial relief. See, one important change in the BNSS is the zero FIR rule. Okay, let's see what does the zero FIR rule allows. See, the zero FIR rule allows anyone to file a first information report at any police station, regardless of where the incident got occurred. See, the FIR must then be sent to the appropriate police station for investigation in a prompt manner. Moreover, it also toughened the penalties for the crime against minors, including the death penalty for the gang rapes involving the minors. To modernize the procedures, it requires the FIR to be registered electronically and officially recorded within 3 days of the compliance statement. Okay. Now let us see what the changes does BNSS introduce regarding detention and bail. See, it limits the availability of bail, especially for the serious crimes and multiple charges, and suggests using security bonds to reduce unnecessary arrest and court delays. Despite these improvements, BNSS has faced various criticism. Let us see them one by one. See, it allows the police to detain someone for up to 15 days without specifying the reasons, potentially affecting the right to bail. Unlike the PMLA Act, it lacks the safeguards when attaching properties linked to criminal proceedings. Unlike the CRPC, which allows the bail after half the maximum sentence being served, BNSS denies this for those facing multiple charges, limiting the possibility of getting bail. See, the use of handcuffs, even in the organized crime cases, goes against the rulings given by the Supreme Court. Moreover, it also retains some CRPC provisions related to public order, raising debate on whether both trial procedures and public order should be regulated together or separately. See, the recommendations from the high-level committee, like reforming the sentence guidelines and codifying the accused rights, were not fully included in the BNSS, prompting call for urgent reforms. See, this is all regarding the discussion. In this discussion, we saw about the various provisos of the BNSS Act from the preliminary perspective. With this backdrop, let us move on to see the next news article of the day. Look at this news article. 2 major bank unions have proposed merging of 43 regional rural banks with 12 scheduled commercial banks. The goal is to improve operational efficiency and viability in the banking sector. It is evident that competition among the public sector banks and RRB is wasting the financial resources by offering similar services to a limited number of rural customers. See, this is all the news which is being given here. In this context, let us know about Regional Rural Bank RRB in a depth. Let us start with the establishment. See, RRBs were established in India in 1975 under the RRB Act of 1976. They were created to develop the rural economy by providing credit and other financial services to small and marginal farmers, agricultural laborers, artisans, and small entrepreneurs. Now coming on to the objectives. The primary objective of RRB includes extending the banking facilities to rural and semi-urban areas, providing credit for the agricultural and rural development, generating employment opportunities in the rural areas, enhancing economic development in the rural regions by supporting various agricultural and non-agricultural activity. Moving on to see the structure and governance. See, RRBs are jointly owned by Government of India, which holds 50% of the share, the concerned state government, which holds 15%, and sponsor bank, which holds 35%. Here, note that sponsor banks are public sector banks which provide financial, managerial, and technical support to the regional rural banks. See, the governance of RRB are managed by Board of Directors, which includes representatives from central government, state government, sponsor bank, and NABARD. Please note these points very carefully because it's very important for preliminary perspective. On continuing our discussion, now let us see the important functions of RRB. RRB perform various functions including providing loans and advances to the small and marginal farmers, agricultural laborers, rural artisans, and small entrepreneurs. They also accept deposits from public in rural and semi-urban areas, offering various banking services like remittance, insurance, and investment products to the rural customers. Additionally, RRB support agricultural development by financing activities related to agriculture, horticulture, dairy, poultry, and fishery. So in a summary, RRBs have significantly contributed to the rural credit and financial inclusion, helping to improve the agricultural productivity and rural development. However, they face several challenges like operational inefficiencies due to high operating cost and low profitability, resource constraints which are affecting their functioning. See, moreover, they face issues like slow adoption of modern banking technologies compared to commercial banks and competition from other PSBs, private banks in the rural areas. See, this is all regarding the discussion. In this discussion, we saw about the structures and functions of regional rural banks from the preliminary perspective. With these learned points, let us see the next news article of the day. Look at this article. The introduction of National Testing Agency run Common University Entrance Test (CUET) caused a significant delays in the university admissions for 2022-23 academic year. Initially, the NTA planned to introduce a CUET for PhD admissions, but this got dropped in the September 22. Note that the JNU, which is one of the renowned university and it's famous for its efficient admission processes, faced delays during the NTA regime. Note that JNU used to conduct its own entrance examination without any issues for nearly 50 years. To alleviate this, the UGC Regulations 2022 allowed the universities to conduct their own entrance examinations, but many universities, including JNU, continue with NTA. See, this is the crux of the article which is given here. In this context, let us discuss a mains question. See, this topic covered under the General Studies paper 2. Look at this mains question for today's discussion. Discuss the various issues in the higher education system of India and moreover suggest some of the measures to improve it. See, this is a straightforward question. Let us start with the introduction. Even after more than 70 years of independence, Indian higher education system is still underdeveloped. No Indian university is listed among the top 100 universities of the world. Many graduates struggle to find employment, indicating a mismatch between the job market requirements and education system. Moreover, Indian universities have a poor track record in receiving national awards and recognition. The share of the research funding which is being allocated to the Indian universities is very low compared to the global standards. See, this is regarding our introduction. Now, let us analyze the issues in the higher education system in India. Firstly, about the issues in the higher education system. The major issue is the quality of education. See, the National Assessment and Accreditation Council (NAAC) reports that 68% of the institutions in India are having a middle or poor quality. The important reasons for this decline are the recruitment of undergraduates as teachers, ad hoc appointments, low pay scales, inadequate teacher training have all contributed to the decline in quality of education. Next, about financing. See, India spends about only 2.5% of the budgetary allocations on education, which is far below the required amount needed to upgrade the infrastructure at the public institutes. Also, 65% of the UGC budget goes to central university, even though more students are getting enrolled in the state universities. Another important issue is regarding the inclusiveness and equal access. See, intercaste and tribal disparities are prominent in the higher education system of India. The gross enrollment ratio for scheduled castes is 19.9% and for scheduled tribe is 14.2%. See, this is very low compared to the national GER of 24.5%. Moreover, Muslims have lowest rate of enrollment in the higher education. Caste-based discrimination in universities has led to tragic incidents like suicides also. Another important problem is vacancies. See, across the country, nearly 35% of the professor posts and 46% of the assistant professor posts remain vacant out of the total sanctioned strength. See, this shortage of faculty significantly impacts the quality of education and functioning of institutions. Now, about privatization and regulation. See, the withdrawal of public sector has allowed the private institution to dominate, turning education into a lucrative business. Most teachers in the private colleges are being underpaid and overworked, and this significantly affects the quality of education they provide. See, moreover, there is a gap between the industrial requirements and the curriculum which is being taught in the colleges. This gap renders many graduates unemployable due to the lack of specific skill sets. Moving on our discussion, we should also note about the lack of autonomy. See, over-regulations by bodies like UGC, Medical Council of India on standards, appointments, fee structures, curriculum has deterred new institutions from opening the campuses. See, this lack of autonomy hampers the innovation and growth in the higher education. Now, let's look at the data on academic research. We can get a status about higher education system in India. See, India has only 119 researchers per million people compared to Japan, which has 5,300, and US, which has 4,500 per million people. See, in US, 4% of science graduate complete a doctorate. In Europe, 7% completes, but in India, only 0.4% graduates complete a doctorate. The separation of research and training activities in Indian university further exacerbates these issues. See, the government institutions face an average faculty vacancy rate of 50%. This problem lies in the stagnant supply of qualified faculty members. Monetary incentives for academia are practically non-existent in India, and the country's R&D expenditure is only 0.62% of the GDP. See, this is one of the very lowest among emerging economies. As a result, Indian universities rank low in both research and training. Lastly, we must also note the regional imbalances. See, there is a significant disparity in the quality of higher education between urban and rural areas. Rural institutions often face more severe issues of quality, faculty shortages, and inadequate infrastructures. See, these are all some of the issues which is hampering the higher education system in India. Now let us see what measures should be taken to address these issues. First is enhancing the education quality. See, to improve the quality of education, regular training programs for the teachers should be implemented. Hiring of qualified and experienced faculty is crucial, and competitive salaries can help attract and retain talent. Additionally, integrating modern technology and digital tools into teaching will enhance the learning experience. Secondly, we should address the faculty shortages. See, addressing faculty shortages is essential. The recruitment process should be expedited to fill the existing vacancies for professors and assistant professors. This will reduce the student-teacher ratio. Moreover, providing research incentives such as grants, fellowship will also promote faculty engagement in research activities. Thirdly, curriculum and industry linkages should be made. See, regularly updating the curriculum to align with the requirement of industries and emerging trend is very important. Introducing skill development programs and vocational courses will enhance the employability of students. Strong collaboration between the universities and industries can provide the students with practical experience through internship, workshops and projects. Lastly, about autonomy and governance. See, granting greater autonomy to the institutions in academic, administrative and financial matters will promote innovation and growth. See, decentralizing governance can reduce the bureaucratic delays and enhance the efficiencies. Transparent evaluation and accreditation process should be implemented to maintain high standard of education. See, these are all some of the steps that can be taken to improve the quality of higher education in India. We have addressed the body part of the answer. Now let us see the conclusion. See, higher education in India has expanded very rapidly in the last 7 decades after independence. Yet, its accessibility and quality remains a concern. If India wants economic gains and development to percolate to the grassroots level, it needs to invest in education on a priority basis. See, this can be your conclusion. This is all regarding the discussion. In this discussion, we saw about the various issues which are plaguing our higher education system in India, and in the second part, we saw about the steps which can be taken to address these issues. So with this, let us move on to see the next news article of the day. Look at this article from Hindu by a former IAS officer. It talks about the background of administration of education in India. In this backdrop, let us cover the article in brief and analyze the pros and cons of having education back in the state list. Firstly, let us see what this article is all about. See, the Government of India Act 1935 introduced a federal structure by distributing legislative subjects between the federal legislature and provinces, thereby placing education under the provincial list. Post-independence, education remained a state subject. During the emergency, the Swaran Singh Committee recommended moving of education to the concurrent list for uniform policies, which was implemented through the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. See, this was done without any debate. The subsequent government attempted to reverse this through 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, but that was not fully enacted. Okay, moving forward, let us see some of the international scenarios where education is managed and administered differently. In the US, state and local governments set standards and oversee the colleges, with the federal department focusing on policies and equal accessibility. In Canada, the provinces handle the education entirely, while in Germany, states having legislative powers for education. Moreover, in South Africa, it has national and provincial education departments. It has to be noted here that there are arguments for keeping education on the concurrent list, that is, to achieve uniform policies, improved standards, but India's diversity makes a single approach very challenging. More importantly, states bear 85% of the educational expenditure, suggesting the need for autonomy. There are also concerns about corruption and lack of professionalism, but centralization has not resolved these issues now. So, it has been often quoted that a productive discussion on moving education back to the state list could allow tailored policy for syllabus admission, while central institutions manage higher education regulations. This is the crux of the article. Going ahead, let's see some of the pros and cons of associating education to the state list. Now let's start with the advantages. Firstly, there will be better local governance by moving education to state list, because states can have more autonomy in decision making, allowing for a more effective governance and resource allocation tailored to the local needs. For instance, a study by National University of Education and Planning and Administration found that states with greater autonomy in education have shown improved educational outcomes. Secondly, states may allocate more funds to education, leading to improved infrastructure, teacher training and student resources. For example, Kerala, which has higher level of autonomy in education, allocates over 20% of budget to education, resulting in higher literacy rates. Thirdly, states can develop curricula that align with their local culture, language, needs, promoting more relevant and effective learning. For example, Tamil Nadu's Samachir Kalvi system, which focuses on Tamil language, culture, has shown improved learning outcomes. But on the other side of coin, there are also challenges which is getting associated with it. Now let us see them in our discussion. Firstly, there will be inadequate resource distribution because states with weaker economies may struggle to allocate sufficient funds, exacerbating the existing disparities in education. For example, the per capita expenditure on education varies significantly across the states, with Bihar spending only Rs 1,442 per student compared to spending of 11,441 per student in Delhi. Secondly, it should be noted that without a unified national framework, education standards and quality may vary significantly across the states. A study by Acer found that while some states like Himachal Pradesh have achieved a higher level of outcomes, others like UP are still lagging behind. Thirdly, students may face difficulties in transferring between the states or accessing higher education opportunity due to differing curricula and certification system. For example, a student from a state with different curriculum may face challenges in getting admission to a prestigious university which is located in other state. Therefore, moving education to state list has both advantages and disadvantages. While it offers better local governance and increased state funding, it also raises concern about the inequitable resource distribution, lack of national standards, and brain drain. So, a balanced approach considering both the pros and cons are very essential to ensure equitable and quality education for all. See, this is regarding the discussion. In this discussion, we saw about the advantages and challenges associated with bringing back education to state list. With this learned points, let us move on to see the next news article of the day. This editorial discusses an recent important judgment by the Supreme Court of India. On March 21, 2024, the court made a progressive decision about climate change in the case of M.K. Ranjit Singh and others versus Union of India and others. The decision involved choosing between promoting solar power generation and protecting an endangered species, Great Indian Bustard. After referring to various decisions in M.C. Mehta versus Kamalnath, Karnataka Industrial Areas Development Board versus Kenchappa, Bombay Dyeing versus Bombay Environmental Action Group, the Supreme Court for the first time recognized the right to have a healthy environment and right to be free from the harmful effects of climate change as a fundamental right. Even though this judgment highlights the need for a systematic climate governance and potentially opening the door for the climate litigation in India, it also raises concern about the balance between large-scale clean energy initiatives and local climate resilience. See, this is the crux of the news article which is given here. In this context, let us quickly go through the basics of climate change from the mains perspective. Firstly, what do you mean by climate change? See, climate change means a long-term shift in the temperature and weather patterns that may be natural, such as the variation in the solar cycle, or may be a result of anthropogenic activities like carbon emission. See, since 1800, human activities, primarily the combustion of fossil fuels like coal, oil, gas, have been the primary cause of climate change. Fossil fuel combustion produces greenhouse gas emissions that serves as a blanket around the earth, trapping heat from the sun and increasing temperature. See, carbon dioxide and methane are the two prominent greenhouse gas emissions that are contributing to the climate change. These are produced, for instance, by burning coal or gasoline. See, carbon dioxide can also be released during forest and land clearing, and methane is emitted primarily by waste landfills. Among all, the major emitters are energy, industry, transportation, buildings, agricultural, and land use. On continuing our discussion, see, China is the largest emitter of carbon dioxide, which comprises 30.60% of the carbon dioxide emission worldwide. China is followed by US and India. Between 2020 to 2030, the world's production of fossil fuels must drop by around 6% to maintain a 1.5 degree Celsius trajectory. But the Earth is now about 1.1 degree Celsius warmer than what it was during 1800s. The level of greenhouse gas emissions rose to a new height in 2019. Here, the amount of CO2 was 148% of the pre-industrial level. If carbon dioxide emissions continue at the current level, the commitment made under the Paris Agreement may not be met, and the temperature could rise as much as 4.4 degrees Celsius by the end of this century. See, the declining sea ice further amplifies the positive feedback loops and make Arctic warmer at least twice as fast as the global average. See, this is regarding the current trends of the climate change. Now, let's see the India-specific information. See, India is the world's third largest economy and world's third largest emitter of greenhouse gases. Major source of emissions and climate change in India are coal power plants, rice paddies, and cattle. However, the per capita emissions remain below global average. India is also at the front lines of facing the impacts of climate change. See, the shifting rainfall patterns, the recurring floods, The stronger cyclones and the droughts or soil erosion are exacerbating the challenges of poverty reduction and necessitate the allocation of scarce natural resources for preventing loss of valuable human life. Despite constraints of resources, India is undertaking ambitious actions to undertake adaptation and mitigation actions, including thorough lowering of the energy intensity of our economic growth. See, thereby it increases the energy efficiency across various sectors and making greater use of renewables. Having discussed this, now let us see some of the initiatives of the Indian government to mitigate climate change. Firstly, India has doubled the clean energy cess on coal, which very few countries had this. Know that the National Clean Energy Fund was created in 2010 by introducing a clean energy cess on every ton of lignite or coal which is being sold. The coal tax is nothing but a tax on the domestic as well as imported coal, which came into force on July 1, 2010. Currently, the National Clean Energy Fund has over $3 billion which can be used for promoting clean technology. Secondly, India's national solar mission is being scaled up fivefold from 20,000 megawatts to 1 lakh megawatts. This will mean an additional investment of $100 billion and saving of about 165 million tons of CO2 emission per year. Thirdly, India has allocated about 200 million USD for the National Adaptation Fund for setting up of ultra mega solar projects, ultra modern supercritical coal based thermal power technology, and the development of solar parks on canals. Another initiative is 100 smart cities with integrated policies for adaptation and mitigation to reduce the vulnerability and exposure of urban areas to climate change and also to improve their energy efficiency, for which $1.2 billion have been allocated. See, our action plan for cleaning one of the largest and longest rivers in the world, River Ganga, will bring multiple benefits of reduction of pollution and climate adaptation. We have also taken similar initiative for protecting the coastal, Himalayan and forest ecosystems. See, India has also launched National Air Quality Index and also National Air Quality Schemes to monitor air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. See, these are all some of the initiatives of Indian government to mitigate climate change. Moreover, India has also made a significant progress on the nationally determined contribution. Let us see them one by one. Firstly, renewable energy expansion. See, India has witnessed a remarkable surge in the renewable energy capacity, reaching over 175 gigawatt of electricity in 2022. The country, moreover, aims to achieve 500 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity by the year 2030. Secondly, reduction of emission intensity. See, the country's emission intensity has already declined by 29% between 2005 to 2020. Thirdly, forest cover expansion. See, India has been actively expanding its forest cover, aiming to increase to 33% of the country's geographical area. This expansion helps absorb CO2 from the atmosphere. Moreover, energy efficiency initiatives like India has implemented various measures across the sectors like industries, buildings and transportation. Moreover, climate adaptation strategies. See, India has developed and implemented climate adaptation strategies in various sectors like agriculture, water resources and coastal areas. See, these strategies aims to build resilience to climate change impacts. Moreover, in August 2022, India updated its national determined contribution to UNFCCC, under which India has promised three main targets for 2030. They are 45% reduction in the emission intensity from 2005 levels. Secondly, 50% of share of renewables in the electricity generation in the country. And finally, creation of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of additional carbon sink through forest covers. See, this is all recording the discussion. In this discussion, we have elaborately covered the various initiatives taken by India in combating climate change. Guys, please mark all these points and use it in your mains answer. With this, let us move on to see the next news article of the day. As you can see, the article is discussing the importance of River Teesta in the bilateral relation between India and Bangladesh. See, followed by the recent visit of Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to India, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced the visit of a technical team to Bangladesh to study the conservation and management of River Teesta. See, this is the crux of the article. This article is very important for both preliminary and mains. In mains, it will come under TS Paper 2 under International Relations. Therefore, we need to understand the physical features and the role of River Teesta in India's bilateral and center-state relation. Firstly, let us see about the physical features of River Teesta. See, the Teesta River originates from the Gangsi Glacier in North Sikkim at an elevation of 5,000 meters. Then, it flows through Sikkim, Jalpaiguri, Cooch Behar and Malda districts of West Bengal and enters into Bangladesh to join the Brahmaputra. Historically, this Teesta river was a part of Ganges river system but changed its course in 1787 followed by a flood. Okay, the total length of the river is 414 kilometers. Out of it, 199 km flows through India and the rest of 121 km flows through Bangladesh. Secondly, the catchment area of the river is 12,159 km. Moreover, the glaciers of Pahuri, Kangxi and Cholamo are considered as the major glaciers in this river basin, though this basin has more than 300 plus glaciers. Okay, having seen the physical features of the river Teesta, now let us see the problem of water sharing between India and Bangladesh. See, 17% of the catchment area of Teesta is in Bangladesh, which supports 8.5% of the population and 14% of the production. The Bangladesh, based on Ganga Water Treaty, which was signed in 1996, asking for an equitable water sharing, that is 50% of the water supply from December to March, while India is asking for 55%. See, this makes an issue. Moreover, it was further reinforced by the problems due to low supply of water in Teesta in dry season, diversion of water and protest from the West Bengal government, etc. are exacerbating the problems between India and Bangladesh. Moreover, the government of Bengal claims that the diversion of Teesta water will affect the people of northern Bengal, and they also claim that the sharing of the Ganga water has significantly affected the ecosystem of river Ganga. Now let us see the challenges faced by India in river Teesta. Firstly, environmental challenges. See, the major environmental challenges faced by river is the glacier retreat. As per the Himalayan Adaptation, Water and Resilience, an initiative of the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, it found that more than 90% of the 26 glaciers got melted between 1988 to 2005. Apart from this, like we said earlier, the supply will be too low during the dry season, whereas during the monsoon season, the river will cause flash floods and landslide in the mid and high elevated region. The recent glacial lake outburst is an example. Secondly, the major challenges associated with India's security problem. See, recently China proposed a dredging in the river Teesta. However, Bangladesh hold the proposal. But if the problem continues, this will give an opportunity for China to influence Bangladesh. The third major challenge is the opposition from the Bengal government. The main claim of the Bengal government is that the sharing of water with Bangladesh will affect the North Bengal provinces. Okay, finally, let's see the steps which can be taken to solve this problem. Firstly, the center can take steps to get the support from the state government of Bengal. This includes putting aside the political differences and considering the demands of state government. Secondly, taking a steps like 2011 proposal, which proposed a sharing of 42% of water for India and 37% for Bangladesh. Thirdly, keeping this as a bilateral issue between India and Bangladesh. Fourthly, steps should be taken to renew the Ganga River Water Treaty. In conclusion, we can say that River Teesta is facing many environmental problems. In this situation, the visit of a technical team may bring positive results. See, this is all regarding the discussion. In this discussion, we saw about the physical features of River Teesta, and in the second part, we saw about the interwater river dispute between India and Bangladesh. This is all regarding the discussion. With this, let us move on to the next part of our discussion, that is to discuss the preliminary practice questions. Today, we are having 6 questions. I'll solve 4 of them, and 2 will be a quiz question for you to solve. Let's go to discussion. See the first MCQ. Who provide financial, managerial and technical support to regional rural banks? See, from our discussion, we know that the sponsor banks are responsible for providing all kind of supports like financial, managerial and technical support to the RRBs. So the correct option is option D. Now let us see the second MCQ of the day. Which of the following is not under the purview of University Grants Commission UGC? See, out of 4 options, the second option, ranking university based on their performance, will not come under the purview of UGC. So negating the statement. So the correct option is option B. Let's see the third question of the day. Bharatiya, Nagrik, Suraksha, Sanhita is related to which of the following? See, out of 4 options, we have discussed that is related to criminal procedure. So the correct option is option B. Let's see the final MCQ of the day. Which is the main function of the Financial Services Institutions Bureau, which was recently seen in the news? See, out of 4 options, from our discussion, you can decipher that the option C, which is the selection of senior officials for the government-owned financial institutions, is the correct option. So the correct option is option C. The quiz question based on today's discussion are given here. Interested aspirants can comment the correct option in the comment sections. The solution for this will be given in the tomorrow video. If you like today's video, like, comment and share it with your friends. For more updates regarding UPSC preparation, subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy. Thank you very much.